Hello, my miraculous friend, and welcome to another episode of the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. This is Reverend Francis Faden, and I'm so grateful that we get to spend this time together helping you to magnify your miracles. And you know me, I love books, and I think one of the ways that we access the miraculous is through books. I often get answers and insights and messages from spirit through reading. So I'm passing on books that have done that for me so that you can enjoy them. And today's book is no exception. It is called I Could Do Anything If I Only Knew What It Was by Barbara Sher. And before I get into that, let's just take a minute. Get ourselves grounded and centered. Breathe in with me and let yourself relax for just a moment. Just let go of the stress. And knowing that whatever you need to hear to really help you magnify your miracles is what you're going to be hearing today. We're going to take one more deep breath together in gratitude. And we can begin. All right, my friend. Well, welcome back. Normally I don't do my book reviews on video, but I got so many people saying to me, I want you to hold up the book. We want to see what you're doing. So for those of you who are listening on wherever you listen to your podcast, doesn't matter to you, but for those of you who are on YouTube, hello everybody. And let me show you the book. Here it is. I Could Do Anything If I Only Knew What It Was by Barbara Sher. How to discover what you really want and how to get it. So Barbara Sher, I love her as an author. I've been reading her forever. She passed away, I think, in 2020. Yeah, she's one of those people who seemed like she was going to be around forever. And she worked up until the last day of her life because she was so passionate about helping people discover their joy, helping people discover what really mattered to them. And a couple of weeks ago, I did an episode on the one word that blocks your intuition. If you didn't listen to that, go back a couple of weeks and you will listen to that podcast. And I talk about how there's one word, and that word I'll tell you now, so you don't have to go back and listen to it, but the word is should. And anytime we have that word should, it blocks us from knowing the truth of what our hearts really want, because it gets us out of our heart and into our head. And it's also based on other people's expectations, what other people think we should be doing, that type of thing. And I'm not talking about like your conscience kind of nudging you. That's a whole different thing. I'm talking about you're like, well, I really should do this, but your energy's not there. And you know me, I'm an energy person. So we always want to go with where your energy is, because your energy and your enthusiasm is a key to what's really right for you. And the more you make yourself do things, the less connected you are to your energy. And that's what I'm all about, is helping you connect. I want you to connect to your energy. I want you to connect to your purpose. I want you to connect to spirit. I want you to connect to what's really true for you. So this is why I love this book, because it was written a while ago. And Barbara Sher is the author of a book called Wishcraft, How to Get What You Really Want. And she wrote this a while ago. I remember my friend Carla told me about that book probably in the 80s. And I think it had already been out for a while at that time. And it was so great because it was the opposite of all the books that are out there that talk about you have to be positive and you have to do this. And she was like, you can be grumpy as all get out and you can still have what you want. And I was like, how is that possible? And what she's trying to say is, when it's true for you and you have people and support around you, you can really manifest whatever it is that you want to have in your life. And she's convinced that everybody has something that they really, really love. And if you've never seen her, I encourage you to watch her. She's got a YouTube episode about what kills dreams and what supports them. And her whole thing, which I think is so true, is that dreams die in isolation. And we try to do these things by ourselves and we have a hard time. We need a team around us to support us and encourage us. And so she's created this whole thing in her business. And I think they're still keeping it going, even though she's passed. That helps people. They call them, I think, dream groups or something like that. And it's all based on this concept. So then this book comes along. And so here she is, Wishcraft, helping people to get whatever it is that they want. And I'm going to read this to you. So pardon me for looking down, but I'm going to be reading this. And she says, not knowing what you want to do with your life is no joke. It's painful to be without direction. My first book, Wishcraft, How to Get What You Really Want, defines winning as getting what you want. It shows you step by step how to become a winner, how to create a life that fulfills your greatest dreams. But for years, readers had been calling me saying, I love Wishcraft, but I can't use it because I can't find a goal. I just don't know what I want. I got curious. I wanted to know what the problem was, so I started meeting with these people who couldn't figure out what they wanted. I let them all tell their stories and I asked some questions, and in a short time, every time, the same thing emerged. Each of these clients was locked in an internal battle and didn't even know it. Does that sound like you, my friend? So if you're having a hard time knowing what it is that you want to do, listen up. It had never occurred to them that deep down they really knew what they wanted, but their desires were masked by an inner conflict. Knowing the problem came as a great surprise and a great relief. Now all we had to do was design a program to get around each conflict, and designing these programs turned out to be surprisingly easy. People woke up and swung into action after only 1 or 2 sessions. This was wonderful. I decided to gather these discoveries and strategies into a book so everyone who needed help could find it. You are now holding that book. Are you having trouble going after you want in life because you can't figure out what it is? I want you to know that you are not alone. Your problem is a common one, and there is a way out. You're going to find yourself in these pages, and almost as soon as you recognize yourself, you'll be learning techniques that can help you. Don't be surprised if you find yourself in more than one chapter, which I totally did. I'm just letting you know. Read them all. Most of us are complicated creatures with many sides, and the exercise that could create a breakthrough for you might be in any chapter. Working your way through this book is going to be exciting, enlightening, sometimes a bit painful, and often very funny. Learning what's really going on inside you can be difficult, but it's also invigorating, and the rewards are enormous. You can do anything if you only know what it is, and you are about to find out. And that's just the preface, my friends. Isn't that exciting? So if you've been feeling stuck, if you've been feeling lost, which a lot of people that come to me to work with me, me as an energy coach, I work with a lot of people that feel stuck because they want to unstick their energy, right? And so when I got this book back out of the library, because I actually have this book, but I think it's in storage in California. So here's the names of these chapters, and let's see if you resonate with any of them. Chapter 1, what are you supposed to be doing? There's the big one. That's the big should, right? 2 is how to get lucky. 3 is resistance, or what is stopping you anyway. 4 is the sure thing. That's when you're doing something that you think you should be doing. 5 is fear of success, leaving the ones you leave behind. And that's a really important chapter about, if I'm successful, what's the negative consequence I'm anticipating? Chapter 6, I want too many things. I'm all over the map. Hello, I related to that one. Chapter 7 is on the wrong track and moving fast. That's when you're successful at something that you don't really want to be doing. Chapter 8 is I want something that I shouldn't want. Hello. It's trivial or unworthy. How many of us have felt that way, right? Oh, I really want to do this, but is that silly, right? Chapter 9, help. I'm not ready to be born yet. That's about stepping into your power. 10, regrouping. It's a whole new ball game. That's when life circumstances are changing. Chapter 11, this was the one that I really resonated with, and it helped me so much. I've lost my big dream and there's nothing left. And for those of you who have been listening to me, you know that my dark night of the soul happened when I left the spiritual community I was living in. And that was my dream. That was my dream. And that was 12 years ago that I left. And amazing things have happened back then, but I still had some sadness about it. So when I read that chapter, I was like, oh, it talked about how you could hold on to what was really good about the thing that you lost and then move forward and create something new, which you're going to be hearing about, the new thing that I'm creating, as I'm going to tell you that next time. Chapter 12, nothing ever interests me. And she talks about how sometimes people might be having depression or something else going on. So that's really important. Number 13, rage against the ordinary. That's for people that they just don't want to fit in a box and they're just going to, no matter what they do, they got to do it their own way. And then 14 is the red herring, or trying to love something that you don't really want. So I guarantee you that there's something for you if you've been feeling stuck in this book. As I said, it's been around a long time. You can get it at the library. Of course, I'll always put a link in the show notes where if you want to purchase it, you can click and get it directly because I like to make it easy for you to do that. But you can also go to our friends, the libraries, and I am a huge fan of the library system and a big supporter of the library system because I love books and I love librarians and I love information because it's so transformational. So here I'm going to read you just a little bit more of the introduction, and then I'm going to let you decide for yourself whether this book is for you. She says, this book is designed to help you find the good life. By that, I don't mean swimming pools, mansions, and private jets, unless those are your really big passions. But if you picked up a book called I Could Do Anything If I Only Knew What It Was, you're probably looking for a lot more than a swimming pool. You want a life you will love. A friend's father got it right when he said, the good life is when you get up in the morning and can't wait to start all over again. Is that you? Or does his idea of the good life sound like an unreachable paradise? If you aren't the kind of person who jumps out of bed every morning, excited about the day ahead, I know you desperately long to find a goal that will make you feel like my friend's father. You crave work that will spark excitement and energy. You yearn to find the place where you can make your mark. Albert Schweitzer found his place and so did Golda Meir. And so did the kid next door who practiced guitar day and night. They knew how to live. They believed in what they were doing with all their hearts. They knew their work was important. When you get near people who are pursuing their heart's desire, you can see the intensity on their faces. Life is just too short to live without that kind of focus. In the early 1980s, 2 Harvard psychologists completed a study of people who called themselves happy. And what did happy people have in common? Money, success, health, love? None of those things. They had only 2 things in common. They knew exactly what they wanted and they felt that they were moving towards getting it. Now I want you to write that down. They knew exactly what they wanted and they felt that they were moving towards getting it. That's what makes life feel good, when it has direction, when you are headed straight for what you love. And I mean love. I don't mean what you're skilled at. I don't really care what your skills are. When I was a single working mother with 2 babies, you know what my skills were? I could clean house like a demon, catch a moving bus with my arms full of laundry, groceries, and kids, and squeeze $1 until the picture of George Washington screamed for mercy. I do not want the career that uses those skills. Thank you very much. I don't believe you live a good life by doing what you can do. You live it by doing what you want to do. I don't even think your greatest talents necessarily show up in your skills. All of us are good at things we're not madly in love with, and all of us have talents that we've never used. Relying on your skills to guide you is simply unacceptable. That's why I don't intend to give you personality tests or skill assessments to find out what you should be doing. I know what you should be doing. You should be doing what you love. What you love is what you're gifted at. Only love will give you the drive to stick to something until you develop your gift. That's the way really big things get accomplished in this world, by people no different than you and I who know what they want and put everything they've got behind it. If you don't know what you want, you can't get out of the starting gate, and that's discouraging. But you're not alone. Recent figures show that as many as 98% of Americans are unhappy in their jobs, and it isn't only financial considerations that keep them where they are. They simply don't know what to do instead. What you may have thought was your private little nightmare turns out to be heartbreakingly common. Well, I have a surprise for you. You do know what you want. Everybody does. That's why you feel so restless when you can't find the right track. You sense there's some particular work you're meant to be doing, and you are right. Einstein needed to formulate theories of physics. Harriet Tubman needed to guide people to freedom, and you need to follow your original vision. As Vartan Gregorian said, the universe is not going to see someone like you again in the entire history of creation. Each of us is one of a kind. Every living person has a completely original way of looking at the world, and originality always needs to express itself. But many of us get stopped. Every time we resolve to change our lives, every time we go to pick up the baton and get into the race, something happens. For some mysterious reason, our determination melts. We look at the baton and think, this race isn't it. And we put down the baton, uneasy because time is slipping away, frightened that we'll never find, quote unquote, it. There are two reasons for this. One reason is it's so hard to know what we want is that we have so many options. This wasn't always true. Our parents and their parents had fewer choices and clearer goals. It's a tribute to the success of our culture that so many of us have the freedom to search for our own life's work. Freedom is glorious, but freedom also torments us because it requires us to create our own goals. Did you know that fewer people get depressed during war than in peacetime? In a war, everything is important. Day to day, you know exactly what to do. Your life might be frightening, but the struggle to survive gives you direction and drive. You don't waste any time trying to figure out what you're worth or what you're supposed to do with your life. You just try to keep alive, save your home, help your neighbors. The reasons we love to watch films about people whose lives are in danger is because every move is loaded with meaning. When there's no emergency to rise to, we have to create goals that have meaning. You can create such goals if you know what your dream is, but this is a relatively new way of living. Now, I want you to really take that in. When I read this, I was like, wow, she's right. We have these choices now. You can create goals, but this is a relatively new way of living. The old way to live was to let necessity create your goal. The new way is to use your dream to create your goal. We have had very little practice in this new way. So if you're struggling with this, my friend, please have some compassion for yourself. This is why we need coaches. This is why we need people to help us, because this is brand new. People haven't been doing this for hundreds of years. The second reason that you don't know what you want is that something inside you is stopping you from knowing. Your dreams are obscured by some kind of internal conflict. It's not as easy as you might think to spot inner conflicts. Often they're disguised as self-reproach. Maybe I have no talent. Maybe I'm just lazy. If I were smarter, I'd have done more with my life. If there's one thing I want you to get out of reading this book, it's to know that not one of those statements is true. The first goal of this book is to shine a spotlight on your particular inner conflict so you can see it clearly outlined. As soon as you see what's been in your way, you'll know exactly why you haven't created the life you wanted. You'll quit reproaching yourself and you'll understand that you've been unable to get moving for a reason. So I could read this whole book to you because it's so important. Now, you have to remember it was written a little while ago, so there are going to be some things in here that are a little bit dated, but the core internal conflicts are going to really speak to you if you're somebody that has been feeling stuck. This book, so helpful. Now, there's some people, the reason I like giving you all these tools is, first of all, I think that being able to read a book in the middle of the night when it's just you and be able to get that download and get that healing and that insight is a miracle, and it's amazing. And I think books are miraculous in that way, that right when you need some insight and some inspiration, you can pick up a book and there it is. And this book has so many of those things in it. And it did that for me. So I had been feeling a little bit stuck and I was like, there's something else. Like, what is the next thing? What is it? I could feel it, but I couldn't quite see it because I had this internal conflict. And I had to go back to, I had my dream and I had to let my dream go. But now I can have a new dream. And I'm going to be sharing my new dream with you over the next couple of weeks because I'm so excited about it. And I'm so grateful for this book for helping me by just asking some specific questions that pointed me in the right direction. So my friend, if you're feeling stuck, please do yourself the favor. Go get this book. Open it up. You don't have to read it from cover to cover. You can pick a chapter and be like, oh, that sounds like me. Or maybe I have that. And just give yourself the gift of doing those exercises. A lot of them are just writing them down, doing some reflection. If you need help getting unstuck, reach out to somebody like me. Get yourself a coach, get yourself an energy person, preferably someone that can help you move stuck energy, because you don't have to be stuck and you don't have to let that should stop you. I would be honored to help you. If that's something that you'd like to do, reach out to me. You can go to francisfaden.com/miracle meeting and connect with me. We can set up a time to talk and see if working together would be helpful for you. I would love to do that for you. In the meantime, my friend, go to your library or wherever you want to go and find a book, get this book and spend some time with your own heart and your own soul and really go like, what would I love? Not what am I good at? Not what am I skilled at? Not what my mother thinks I should do. What would I love to do? Really love to do? And then pursue that. Barbara Sher is the master of helping people figure out how to do that. And I'll share a quick story with you before we wrap up. One of my favorite stories of hers, which is that there was a woman who came to her who didn't love anything. She's like, no. And she's like, you have to love something. No, she really didn't. So finally, Barbara was on the verge of giving up because she was like a career coach, a career counselor. And she was walking out of her office, kind of dejected with this woman. And the woman looked down at the National Geographic magazine that was on her coffee table in her office. And she lit up because there was a picture of a gorilla on there. And she was like, oh, gorillas. And Barbara was like, you love gorillas? She's like, I love gorillas. And Barbara said to her, then we found something that you love. But the woman's like, but I don't have a degree in zoology. Like, what am I going to do with the fact that I love gorillas? Barbara said, you don't have to know. What I want you to do is go to the zoo. This was in New York. Go to the zoo and hang out with the gorillas. Go be in the energy of the gorillas. So the woman was like, all right, I love gorillas. I guess I will. So she did that. This woman had some kind of knack. She loved the gorillas so much that she was able to like connect with them and communicate with them. And there was this one gorilla there that like everybody was afraid of this gorilla. This gorilla like connected with this lady, and the people in the zoo noticed. Why? Because she showed up and she was doing the thing that she loved, connecting with the gorillas. And they approached her and they said, would you be interested in working here? And she's like, well, I don't have a degree in anything. They're like, yeah, we don't care. You're the only one that gets along with the gorilla. And then she got a job at the zoo. Okay, this is a real Barbara Sher story. I've been trying to tell you, my friends, your miracle is already here. It's already here. Just let yourself move in the direction of your miracle. Let yourself move in that direction, whatever it is. You don't have to know how. Just got to put yourself in the energy of the thing that you love. And step one is admitting what you love. And if you don't know what that is, there's a chapter for that for you where you can take a look and see what's going on. I would love to know if this is resonating with you, my friends. And as always, if you appreciate this episode and you know anyone else who would appreciate it, I would appreciate it if you could share it with anybody else that might really get something out of it. Share it on social media, share it with your friends, leave a review. Oh, please leave me a comment. I love reading your comments and I love interacting with you. It makes me so, so happy. Remember, my friend, that the key to magnifying your miracles is knowing your miracle is already here. God bless you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.